Trapping. It's a skill as old as time itself. A skill once passed on proudly from generation to generation. A way of life. A way of currency to trade for guns, tools, and horses. Obviously in today's society, trapping isn't that important. But it's a shame that the skill set's disappeared as well. Today what I'd like to show you is some basic traps that I use to provide food and fur for my family. I don't claim to be an expert, but after 4 years of living off the grid and working towards a more self-sufficient lifestyle, I've learned a thing or two, and I'd like to pass that knowledge on to you. So let's come along and try and catch some snowshoe hare. Now, snaring is something that can be done year-round, but in the winter, when we've had a nice light snowfall like this, it's really the perfect time. See, we can look at the tracks. You can see the little highways that they make in the woods. What you're looking for is that beaten path that they're going to follow every single time, and that's where you want to set your snare. A trail like this is perfect. If you can see here, they've basically been running all through here, through these trees into the woods. So what we need to do is we need to set a snare right in the middle of this path. And we're going to use a young sapling with some spring to it to help us out to make a really strong, really lethal trap. If we follow this in just a little ways, that same trail, you can see here it kind of forks, and what they do is they come this way and they come that way. So the goal here is to put my snare in the center of this V in the trail, and the way I'm going to do that is with this tree right here. So I'm going to take off a couple of the extra branches on this so that I can work with it a little nicer. And what we're going to do here is basically I just want to work this tree gently so that it doesn't snap. It's not going to be springy enough, guys. Okay, different tree. Okay, this one will work, guys. This one will work. Okay, so lots of spring in this tree. So what I'm going to do is I need to notch this tree in such a way that I can get it to latch onto this tree. So the way I'm going to do that, and there's numerous ways you can do it, is I'm basically just going to square this up and make it flat so that I can notch it into the side of this tree. So basically I've just squared this off right here. So I've got a point right where I'm running my finger. I'm flat here and I'm flat here. And now what I need to do is I need to make a notch in that tree. The way I like to do this is with a multi-tool and a little saw. And what I'm going to do is I'm basically just going to cut. I'm going to cut into this tree about the thickness of my blade, really. And what that's going to do is that's going to give me a little bit of a stop cut when I switch to this blade here. And I'm just going to cut up towards it. Now when I push this down here, I'm finding that my tree is actually binding at the end against the next tree. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take off the length that I don't need. There we go. Just like that. Now it's really sensitive. If I just tap this, it springs up. You see that? If I get that under there, just like that. And when we hit it, up she goes. So now that I know this is gonna stay on here, just barely, I'm gonna just notch it just a little bit to hold my snare wire still, and then we're gonna put the snare right here. So when you're setting your snare, the first thing I like to do, especially if you've got a bit of a kink in your wire, you know, little kinks like this, right there, is if you just find yourself a green tree like this one, and just floss it through the tree like this. And what that'll do is it'll take the kinks out of your wire, and it'll also take the scent off if you've used that snare before. Now what you gotta do is basically, you're looking to put a little loop in the end of your wire. So I'll just take and I'll put a little twist in it like that. I've got my little loop that I've made on the end of my wire, and I'm just gonna fish it through itself like so. And what that does is it makes this loop, and if something is to pull, as you can see with my arm here, the more they pull, the tighter it gets. And that's what you want, because that's what's gonna ultimately kill the animal that you're gonna trap. And I'm just gonna cut a little groove into this tree here. And now the reason I do that is so that it's gonna hold tight right here. It's not gonna slide around on that tree. So now I've got my snare here. And what I want to do is I want to essentially try to get this to be a little bigger than my fist, is the way I find works the best. Like so. Okay. And then I want it to be about 2 to 3 inches off of the ground, because that's where the rabbit's head's going to be. So I want it somewhere in the ballpark right there. And once I've got the rough length, I'm just going to put my wire in here. And I'm going to put it right into that groove that I just made. And I'm going to just go twice, sometimes 3 times around. And then once I've got it around there, I'm just going to twist it off to make sure that it's not going anywhere. And that should be plenty, just like that. So now it's firmly attached. I'm going to make my little loop nice and appealing. Try to bend this wire in such a way that it centers it where I want it, just like that. And now we're going to go one step further, and what we're going to do is we're going to just plant some stuff around it here, basically fencing. And what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to guide them so that the best possible path for them to take is going to be the path through my snare. So I'm just going to put some dead sticks all around here and make this really unattractive to go anywhere else. I want that path right through here to be the most attractive path for them. So ideally what's going to happen is they're going to run through here. It's going to tighten up when they run that way, and it's going to put pressure on this branch. And when this branch has pressure that pushes that direction, just like that. And then they're going to be hanging right up there. So that's the goal. So there you have it, guys. A very simple technique, a very simple power snare that you can set up in a few minutes with some basic tools, a pocket knife and a piece of wire. That piece of wire didn't even cost me a dime. I got that particular piece of copper out of an old CRT TV. If we catch something, I'm going to show you a photo of it. I'm not going to add any footage of coming and retrieving our catch from that trap because I feel like it's more likely to get flagged. A lot of people are going to get offended. And for that reason, if we do catch something and you see a photo right now of what we caught, be sure to give me a thumbs up to even out all the thumbs down I'm going to get over this. I hope you enjoyed the video, guys. If you have any tips for me, maybe you've got a better method, I'd love to see it. I'd love to hear it. I'm always trying to learn and grow my knowledge and try to improve my ability to be self-sufficient out here. I'm the Happy Hermit. Cheers.